Here are the Alberta courts in that major courthouse there. This is 97th Street. This is a main artery road in the downtown core leading all the way up to the north end of Edmonton. And here is the spot that was supposed to be the stand-in for Cafe Diplomatico in the Thomas Edwards stories. And above there, that would be Thomas Edwards' apartment, aka the apartment on 97th Street. This is the back of the building, and of course that's the Alberta courthouse there. And this is from where Jack McCrae would make his observations about the Quarters District, which is what this district is called, about how it was once upon a time a nice neighborhood with many houses, but is primarily parking lots now, and is a neighborhood in change as they're trying to rebuild it. I'll be curious to see what Edmonton does eventually, and that with the old Army and Navy department store. Here we are further into the Quarters District. This is an area of some buildings and parking lots again that are behind what is the apartment on 97th Street in the Thomas Edwards Sleuth of the Criminal Mind stories. And as you can see, just a lot of parking lots. Yeah, there are some apartments there in the distance, but this is all fairly recent stuff. There's a little parkette back there where unfortunately a lot of homeless and addicted live or hang out all the time. Down here on the north side of the Quarters District, just north of where the Thomas Edward apartment is the Edmonton Police Services headquarters. And this is right downtown. This borders with the Macaulay and Boyle Street neighborhoods. Boyle Street, which you will have recognized by name, some of the stories. And just panning around right now, this continues back onto the main downtown core. And that is, of course, in the distance, the Alberta Courthouse. Here inside the Quarters District is Wong's Benevolent Association. It plays a role in one of the stories of Thomas Edwards' Sleuth of the Criminal Mind, Hercules Rising, as it has a secret connection with the building down here, which used to be the first ever German publication building, later became a Ukrainian publishing house, and also a drugstore at one point. It was taken over by the Arts Council of Edmonton, but has remained closed for many years. And as you can see, it's now for sale. It's a shame because inside, it's a very great source of Edmonton history, not just for the architecture, but for the history of the immigrants that moved here and became big parts of the city and its development. As stated, this building plays a significant role in the story Hercules Rising, one of the Thomas Edwards Sleuth of the Criminal Mind stories, especially this mural, and in particular this white lotus motif. One of the curious art installation creations here in Edmonton, this chimera-like creature was one of the inspirations for my story, The Chimeras of Highland Park. So here we are, just at the intersection of 103A Avenue and 96th Street. As you can see, the fire truck is just off to a call right there. That is their firehouse plus paramedics. And of course across the road is the Edmonton Police headquarters. And that's where Sergeant Alan Boyd works, thinking away about the curious mysteries that Thomas Edward helps him with. So just down the street from this fire station here is the building that used to be the Edmonton Steel Company, which was inspiration for the location, the Purple Stone, which is one of the stories featured in the first book of Thomas Edwards' Sleuth of the Criminal Mind. It was here there used to be this big hand statue made out of wood, and it represented the people who were homeless on the streets here. It has been since moved to another location, which is unfortunate because it was quite nice and very inspirational and very thoughtful of the neighborhood and the people who reside in it. It was actually upon this gravel pit area where it once stood, and from where I actually found a purple painted stone that was laying in the ground, which gave inspiration to the title and the weapon used by the young boy who was trying to save his father in that story. We'll just walk around now to the front side of the building. It's now a city-owned building, and they're trying to convert it into some sort of offices. They haven't gotten very far in the 5 years since they've taken it over, which is too bad, because this neighborhood, while it looks nice, it needs upgrading, and it certainly needs to put people back to work if they're so inclined to go for it. But as you can see from the exterior, it's a nice old building, but it's not really been useful for anything in a long time. And it's too bad they took down the Edmonton Steel Company sign that was on the front of it at one point, and they've boarded up all the windows. And what is behind this is the Boyle Street community area, where they have, as you see, buildings on the left and right, and they're known as the Basil Centers, west and east, and they serve to help feed homeless in the area. And here we go. There's still some old signage that's still here from the steel and pipe days. And that big sort of runway right there where that shopping cart is, that's the covering for where the LRT or light rail transit train comes out of, from underground from the subway, and becomes a above ground train rail system. So a quick fun fact, where that LRT train comes out of, that was part of the original Canadian National Rail and also Canadian Pacific Rail line that came through Edmonton, where Edmonton used to be the hub of all of Western Canada for where all trains, commercial and passenger, came through. That leads back to the downtown core. So here's the main front entrance of Edmonton Police Headquarters. As you can see, it's a very typical 1980s style kind of Hollywood version of police station. I'm sure you have many of those down in the States. And over here is the Brown E. Lee building, which is another set of court houses, or courtrooms, I believe, and lawyer offices. And it too is very close to 97th Street. So from the steps of the Alberta Courthouse, you can see back onto 97th Street. Of course, across the street, that building, the small one there with the second story, is the Thomas Edward apartment and some of the connecting businesses. And over to the far end there, towards the intersection with 102A Avenue, is the Oil Lamp Greek cuisine restaurant. That too has a small role to play in some of the Thomas Edward stories. And yeah, it's pretty much what it's all about. As you can see, it's just a very typical street, but for me it served its purpose as well in the stories. So this is Churchill Square. In the distance you see some of the local commercial buildings. In the very back end there is the Stanley A. Milner Reference Library. That's our largest library. We see some other law offices, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation building inside of the City Centre Mall. We continue on and we see some other condos, office towers. That pyramid there, that is City Hall, Edmonton City Hall. And there's a little local ice rink out there for the wintertime fun. Behind it is the Royal Alberta Museum, and here to the right of it is the Art Gallery of Alberta. So a lot of cool stuff in a very short amount of space. Here we are at 100th Street. That's the Westin Hotel. Over there is the McLeod condo building. A few friends of mine have lived through there. And across the street's where we're going to end the tour. Over on Rice Howard Way we have a craft brew house, which, while it's great in its own respect, there's only one place I want to go to when I'm here. You know it. And here's the inside of Sherlock's. Cheers.